It feels like just yesterday we even found out that we were getting the Constructicons in the Studio Series line. It wasn't even that long ago that I was hunting for Scrapper and Bone Crusher, and then lo and behold, this shows up on my doorstep. Welcome one and all to the display case. I'm Nate, and today we're looking at Transformers Studio Series, Long Haul and Hook, the Commander 2-pack. Straight up, we've got some amazing artwork of Hook and Longhaul laying siege to Autobot City in Transformers the movie on the front and right side of the box. Then on the left side, we've got an artwork that we have seen before of Devastator, the first combiner to ever grace our screens. Then coming back to the front, we have a bit more information like the unnecessary transformation steps and a little badge saying 3 out of 5 sets to make Devastator have now been released. On the back, we get those classic renders of Hook and Longhaul in vehicle and robot modes, showing us what they look like. And I'm so happy to announce that they have made no typos on the description on this one, although that means we won't get a good laugh like we did looking at Bone Crusher's box. I am so glad nothing broke there. Anyway, these guys are interesting. Interesting in the fact that they are the first Commander class release we've got to be a 2-pack. And I think what Hasbro have done here is find a way to release 2 Constructicons at once, giving us Devastator earlier. Rather than using up another Leader class slot or a Voyager slot, releasing them over time. So don't be surprised when these guys don't necessarily match the engineering level of the Commander classes we've got recently. They are, after all, just more Constructicons. Now, for accessories, we do get Hook and Longhaul's signature blasters, with Hooks being one piece and Longhauls being a 2-piece that you plug together. We also get this bundle of joy. Just like Menasaw's trailer and Superion's extra jet pieces, this is a trailer that connects to Longhaul in vehicle mode and contains all the necessary bits and pieces to form Devastator. We get the main body piece, 2 missile pods that turn into Devastator's hands, and Devastator's chest piece. Let's start off by looking at the widest member of the Constructicons, Longhaul. From the heavy and durable plastic to the smooth and cartoony finish of the figure, this guy is definitely my favourite of the two. With every surface having subtle enough detailing to not feel like it was overdone. Even the back is super clean, although I wish the wheels on his legs could fold away. Talking about articulation, Longhaul's head is thankfully on a ball joint, so that means it can move any which way you like, only being limited by the thickness of the head and the pieces surrounding it. His shoulders are on rotating double hinges, which can go out 90 degrees and rotate all the way around. They've hit 2 birds with 1 stone by making the elbow joint a ball joint, allowing for bicep swivel and a 90-degree bend. He also has this nice up and down movement used for the transformation. Although there is no waist rotation here, he does have some nice movement in his legs. His hips can go all the way forward, all the way back, and can do the full splits. He's got a nice thigh rotation, and just under a 90-degree bend at the knee. Pair that with a 90-degree tilt at the ankle, and the ability to sort of dislocate the upper knee for more range, and you've got some pretty good leg articulation. So yeah, Longhaul has a good amount of range, sure, but there are still things I think were missed. Namely, a waist and wrist rotation would have been nice. Nonetheless, he still runs absolute circles around his Combiner Wars counterpart, being able to get into more dynamic poses than that thing could ever dream of getting into. You can even plug a display stand into a port on his backside to get him into some nice aerial poses, like beating down some Autobots, for example. He's also got some nice hidden detail. You pull off his front panel and you can find an entirely sculpted engine inside his chest. Now, to get Longhaul transformed into his vehicle mode, you want to start off by detaching his torso and folding his legs back, then folding his head in, folding his arms up and then tucking them underneath, folding out the front part of the dump truck tray and putting it over the cab, folding up his legs at that second knee joint and clipping them in to that part that you've just folded up, and then making sure the arms are tucked underneath and tabbed in properly. And voila, he's a dump truck. You know what? I really appreciate that even though we're at a Commander price point, they've made Longhaul's transformation just as easy as the other Constructicons. And even though it's just as easy, we get a really nice G1 dump truck. Noting that you can also plug Longhaul's blaster into any of the 5mm ports on the vehicle for nice and easy storage. Speaking of alignment with the other Constructicons, Longhaul actually isn't too big in his vehicle mode, meaning he scales well with the previously released Constructicons, Bone Crusher and Scrapper. Now, Longhaul's most notable accessory in this pack is likely going to be his trailer. Now, you can get Longhaul to tow this hunk of plastic by slightly separating the back half of his tray and then fixing the notch on the trailer in between those parts, leading to this sort of elongated dump truck look. And look, it's not a super offensive piece. I think I'm still getting used to needing extra pieces to make combiners whole. But we'll get more into that later. Now, moving on to Hook. He is definitely the Constructicon that is most similar to his counterpart from Combiner Wars, being what is essentially a downscaled version with a few upgrades. Just like Longhaul, the plastic quality has definitely improved, and I feel like the sculpting has as well. There are a couple of fine details here, like the grip on the back of his forearms, that I'm really liking. Although it doesn't stop it from being cartoon accurate, for better or for worse. For example, the back of this figure is kibble heavy, but it is cartoon accurate, so it's really a toss-up between which you prefer. Luckily, the crane arm is detachable via a 5mm port. Hook's articulation is similar to Longhaul's. He's got a ball joint in his head that can make him look up, down, a little bit of tilt, left, right, all around, being hindered by those two side panels. His shoulder can rotate forward, rotate back, go out just above 90 degrees, and lift up using a joint for the transformation. He's got a smooth bicep swivel and a nice double jointed elbow, and again, unfortunately, no wrist swivels. And I do find it a little bit sad that none of the Constructicons so far have any sort of waist or wrist rotation. His hips, however, can move forward, move back, do the full splits with a smooth thigh rotation and just under a 90-degree bend at the knee. He also has feet that can bend up a little bit, can't bend down, but has a full 90-degree tilt. So yeah, just like Longhaul, Hook does have some alright articulation, although it could be a lot better. And just like Longhaul, he does have a port in his backside for a stand. Although when I try to plug my stand in, the port is too loose and it keeps falling out, not to mention the weird angle. To get Hook transformed into his crane mode, what you want to do is start folding out the front parts of his legs before sort of shimmying up his crane section entirely and tucking in his arms by his sides. The arms should then tab nicely into the crane section at the top before allowing you to fold down those flaps at the back, making up the back of the crane. All you have to do then is fold the front of the vehicle back on top of the thighs and make sure everything's tabbed in, and voila, you have a crane. Now, although this is just a smaller rehash of the Combiner Wars toy, there are some redeeming qualities that put it a step above. Namely, the ability to move the crane arm as well as extend it is amazing. This is not something that was in the Combiner Wars toy. He even has a little articulated hook. Just like on Scrapper, you're able to take Hook's blaster and peg it onto a little point on the side of his crane arm. Lovely little piece of storage. Putting all the Constructicons that have released together for the first time really highlights for me how much I appreciate the cartoony look they were going for. My first exposure to the Constructicons was in the '86 movie. Little 6-year-old me had a DVD that he would play at least 3 times a week, so seeing them all together rings that nostalgia bell for sure. Okay, main event time. We all know that with the release of Hook and Longhaul comes the ability to actually form Devastator with the Constructicons. So first things first, let's start with Longhaul's trailer. To begin, you want to remove all the little extra Devastator bits from the trailer and put them all to one side. Then fold together those 2 purple clips and then take off the cover and fold it in on itself. Then it's just a matter of pulling down the legs and arranging the hip skirts. So you want to put Devastator's crotch over to one side and then focus on those extra little bits we were talking about before. You can fold the hands out of the forearms, put them aside, and then peg together the 3 extra pieces to make Devastator's chest piece. Turning your attention to Hook, you want to take his entire crane assembly and move it to the right. Then fold down the arms and fold out all of the peg pieces that'll be connecting Devastator together. You then want to take the 2 ends and extend them out, being able to fold out the head and rotate it around before rotating the 2 pieces and connecting them together. Making sure everything is tabbed in properly here will save you a lot of time later. Fold his face out of his head, and you have Devastator's traps ready to go. Now shifting our attention to Longhaul, we want to start by untabbing his legs and then folding his arms out from underneath the cab. You then want to make sure the forearms are rotated outward before folding in his bicep and attaching the back of his forearm to the back of his shoulder. You then want to take the entire leg assembly and fold it upwards before taking the cab cover, folding it in on itself, and then folding the heel spurs on top of it. And just like that, you have Devastator's abdomen. You then want to take Devastator's abdomen and traps and connect them together using the ports you can see here. Don't worry if it takes a while, there are a lot of ports and sometimes the tabs don't perfectly line up. After that, you take the piece you just assembled and connect it to Longhaul's trailer we transformed earlier. The purple tab piece should just plug into the bottom of Longhaul. Now that you have all the parts from the 2-pack assembled, it's time for the cherry on top, Scrapper and Bone Crusher. Starting off with Bone Crusher, you effectively fold out the arm piece from his vehicle mode and then tab on one of the forearm pieces we transformed earlier. This will make Devastator's left arm. You can then unfold this tab and connect the 2 treads together like this, and then slide the arm onto the connector with a satisfying click. Connecting Scrapper is just as easy. You essentially separate the top 2 legs there and then slide in 1/2 onto the inside of Devastator's leg before pushing in the other side to connect it in securely. Lastly, you take Devastator's chest piece that we previously assembled and snap it on securely to the body. I can tell you now, even without Scavenger and Mixmaster, this is my favorite combiner, hands down. He is so sturdy and immediately makes each of the Constructicons' shortcomings worthwhile, without a doubt. I'm definitely going to make another video on Devastator more in depth when Mixmaster and Scavenger come out, but these are just some things I've noticed for now. Devastator's head is unfortunately on a swivel, so it can only move left and right. You can, however, sort of cheat it into an up motion by invoking its transformation. It looks a little weird, but it could work in the right circumstance. Devastator's legs also have a good amount of articulation in them. They can do the full splits as well as, after moving the hip skirts out, all the way forward with a nice ratchet and not very far back due to the backpack. They also have a 90-degree bend at the knee with a nice thigh rotation and a good ratchet as part of Scavenger in the heel. Something else people have been talking about is Devastator's backpack. While it is a bit ugly and obtrusive, I don't think it's as bad as people have been making it out to be. I think I can live with it, given how good the rest of Devastator is. After all, I don't think I'm ever going to be displaying him from the back. Although surprisingly he doesn't use a ratchet for his waist swivel, there is one there and it is nice and tight, so nothing really to worry about there. You can see here just how massive Devastator turned out to be. I've got him next to my Menasor with third-party thighs and feet making him even taller. Then putting him next to our newest combiner Superion, you can see just how much he towers over the poor Autobot. You can tell they made Devastator to be the king of modern combiners. Although people might have their issues with this guy, I think Devastator absolutely turned out much better than his Combiner Wars counterpart, even in this state where he's missing a leg and an arm. It makes me anticipate the announcement of Mixmaster and Scavenger even more, despite the lukewarm reception of the recent Constructicons. It also makes me excited for the third-party things that are going to come out for this guy. I'm expecting articulated hands at the very least. All in all, I think what this set has done for me is reinvigorated my excitement for the Constructicons, and Devastator as a whole. I was getting tired of what they were doing with them, but now after this, I think the best is yet to come. Thank you so much for watching my video. If you like my content, feel free to subscribe, leave a like, or even a comment with your own thoughts. Can't wait to read them. Thanks again, and we'll catch up soon.